What's good, everybody? It's Without Warning. It's your boy Noah, and we are back with another album review. This time we got The Life of Pi'erre 5 by Pi'erre Bourne. If you're watching this channel, you already probably know, but this of course is the follow-up album to his 2019 album, The Life of Pi'erre 4. One of my favorite albums of that year, and honestly of all time. I have a lot of memories attached to that album from seeing him back when I was abroad in London, listened to it all the time to get ready for the concert, and then coming back to school this last semester. That's all me and the homies were running up, so I have a lot of memories attached to this one. Personal favorite, which makes me a little biased towards Pi'erre coming into this album, but at the same time, my expectations for T-Lop 5 were fucking sky high, so he had a lot to live up to, but honestly, for the most part, I'm not disappointed. I really think that this follow-up album was pretty much just as good. He did a lot of things really well. There's a few things I thought were lacking from T-Lop 4 that I'll get into later in the video, but let's just start off with the good. First things first, the Pi'erre Bourne album, you already know the transitions are going to be crazy. T-Lop 4, it was just connected so that every song was just a seamless transition from one to the other. Almost made it as if the whole album was just one long song. And now you might look at that like a bad thing, thinking there's not enough variety. But for me, I thought that was perfect. And here's no different. The transitions are a little bit more subtle, but still just as fire. Some of my favorite transitions were Hulu to Couch. That's that 3rd to 4th song. And then the 4th to 5th, Couch to 42. Two of my favorite songs in the album, but they just move so seamlessly from one to another. The concert clips he throws in between Couch and 42, also the way he uses his tag in that song, have to be some of my favorite moments on the album. The way that he's able to modulate pitches and tempos with those transitions is perfect. I also really liked the transition from Butterfly to For You, just because that one was really subtle. You just heard the 808s and the bass line for You starting to come in at the end. And I think what almost makes the transitions in this one better than T-Lop 4 is that you could also put the album on shuffle and you're still getting transitions that work. For example, when only the singles were out, when it was just Sauce Boy, Groceries, and For You, I remember when you would play Sauce Boy 2, it would immediately go to Groceries right after, and that transition sounded just as good as some of the transitions on the album. But just like T-Lop 4, seamless transitions between tracks, and that makes it hard to turn off the album. You're going to put on one song and just think, hey, I might just listen to this song, maybe another one. And just the way it flows, you find you'll fuck around and listen to the whole album. The second thing I really like on this album is how he kind of kept the lyrics and the themes consistent throughout, talking about his family. So this starts off right in the beginning of the album with the intro. The first verse you hear on it, I don't even think it's Pi'erre, it's actually his grandmother talking to him, talking about her life back in Queens, how she wants to get a new car, and then that transitions into Switching Lanes, where the hook is talking about him getting his grandma a car. Pretty cool. Even the next song, Hulu, he's talking about her again and some of his brothers and cousins when he was growing up in Queens, and then really gets specific into talking about his brother on Couch. And I really like how he keeps this consistent. I think that Pi'erre's melodies, his voice, the way he uses auto-tune on his voice, as well as the beats, are obviously the thing that really draw people to his music. And not to say that he's a lyricist or anything, I'm not comparing him to a J. Cole or a Kendrick, but to other trap rappers, his lyrics kind of set him apart. You can tell he doesn't just go in, punch in and freestyle. He definitely goes back with his pen game and makes sure that every line is on point. Because you'll notice if it's not a line that's about something like a family member or a girl or telling a story, everything is a punchline, and there's some really witty, very clever bars in here. I would kind of compare it to an artist like Lucky, and I think that sometimes it can be kind of off-putting where an artist just goes like seemingly back and forth between really serious lines about like family and loss and relationships just to like straight punchlines. For example, on Switching Lanes, I mean, he starts off the song by talking about his grandmother to immediately talking about getting head, but for whatever reason, just like stuff like that, the balance between seriousness and fun, I think really works for Pi'erre. Another bright side on this album was definitely the features. On T-Lop 4, he held it down, recording, producing, writing, everything all himself, which he pretty much did the same on this, except for just 3 features. You start off with the Playboi Carti one, Switching Lanes. That feature I heard maybe 2 or 3 years ago when it first leaked and came out, but it's still a fire verse. The one thing I agree with the majority, Pi'erre didn't put in the same like kicks and 808s that were on the fan-made version, so Carti's verse has a little bit less of that oomph to it, but for some reason I think it kind of works in the context of this album, with that pretty much being the intro track. It's more laid, mellow, laid back, transitions nice into Hulu, and really gets the album starting. The Sauce Boy 2 feature with Uzi was another one that, for the most part, I was a fan of. Did seem a little bit like Uzi kind of phoned it in, relied on a lot of cliches on this verse, like talking about my neck on froze, that's one he goes to a lot, or just talking about how he had sex with your girlfriend, kind of the same stuff, but the flow was really nice. He matched Pi'erre's energy with the rapid pace flow like Pi'erre was coming with on this. And then the Shark feature on Drunken Nasty I also really liked too, because his flow on that wasn't exactly like Pi'erre's. Pi'erre's was a little bit more melodic, whereas his was more syncopated and upbeat, but I thought they really complemented each other well, and that was a super, super catchy track. The one downside I would say about this album, if there are any, is that you don't have some of the super emotional songs about relationships and his kind of past lovers like he did back on T-Lop 4 with songs like Ballad, Lovers, Guillotine. But at the same time, it's probably just because he's in a better place in life, maybe made up with his girl, whatever the case may be. And the songs that he's bringing here, he's just really showing that he can rap. Songs like Sauce Boy 2, like I said earlier, using a rapid pace flow, bar after bar, practice leading in, much of the same thing. And then even songs like 40 Clip, we really hear a new flow and a new sound. I mean, that song just sounds made for mosh pits, the way that the sub bass goes throughout the entire song, and you have really hard hitting 808s, almost kind of like a nudie 21 Savage type beat. Would have been cool to see a feature from one of them on there, but Pi'erre really did his thing, and that's a sound we haven't heard from him as much, which was cool. And on the same time where he's not really having super sad lyrics about relationships as much, that comes in more in the form of him talking about family members. For example, on Hulu, talking about his friend JP who he lost, and then he also brings it back on YNS, talking about him, and those lyrics really hit close to home in the same way that he did on songs like Lovers and Racer back on T-Lop 4. And then when he does go into some of those kind of relationship songs, it's really his best work to date. I mean, For You, for example, is a beautiful song, and I love the way he just lets the beat breathe. He just fits his lines within the pocket of that 808, allowing every lyric to resonate and his voice to just sound absolutely beautiful. Kind of similar with 42, which is way more layered, but the background vocals on that are just absolutely gorgeous, super memorable hook. Another one I think in the same lane is Retroville. That song, just because of the lyrics, talking about like we was skipping class in the bathroom and everything like that, it's one of those songs where you heard it once and somehow it's already nostalgic. It's like you heard it before or you already have memories attached to it. All in all, this is a great album. I really at this point wouldn't say that there's any quote unquote skips, just some songs that are better than others, some that may grow on me. Right now my favorite songs are definitely For You, 42, and Couch. I also really love Retroville and have to give an honorable mention to Biology 101, just how catchy that pull up to the hotel and how fire that Cassidy references, and really the whole song is heat. Well, it may not be quite as emotionally impactful as The Life of Pi'erre 4. I think that 5 coming out now in June with a lot of really fun songs and some more serious emotional ones mixed in is really a perfect album for the summer. Overall, I'm giving it a 8, but a very strong 8 right now, with the potential to definitely be a 9 if all the songs age well and it's replayable. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, hit that like button, and let us know in the comments what you would give this album out of 10, what your favorite songs were. We really appreciate all feedback and everyone rocking with us. Without warning, till next time, we out.